This week on VHS Boys, we're reviewing Bloodsport from 1988, and this is what you call a sleeper hit. It was shot on a super modest budget of $2 million. The studio wasn't happy with it. They sat on the finished film for 2 years. This almost went straight to video, and then it ended up being Cannon Films' biggest release of 1988, grossing $50 million worldwide.
It's fucking amazing. Holy shit.
There's pretty much no such thing as a sleeper hit anymore.
No, Monkey Man's a perfect example. I think the total Universal spend was probably $10 million just for getting the rights. I don't know how much they spent on promotions, but that movie made over $50 million. So regardless if they spent $10 million or $5 million, they made money off that movie.
So that's kind of the modern equivalent of a sleeper hit?
I would say so, for that cheap of a budget. And it's just like Bloodsport. That movie was like shelved for like 2 years.
Bloodsport was a box office success. It sold 150,000 units when it came out on VHS and Betamax in December 1988.
At how much a tape?
Back then, a lot. I don't know what the
So
price was.
150,000 units at how much?
This was before movies were like $20. That didn't come until like the early 90s, late 80s. I think Batman was the first movie that they sold for really cheap.
Wow. So for sure they made a killing off it. It must have been like $40, $50.
Yeah, it could have been more. That's huge, dude. You know how many people buy a disc release now? It's like very low.
Oh, I mean,
It's thousands.
I try to go to secondhand shops.
Yeah.
Lawrence of Arabia is still, for the 4K, it's still $45.
They made a Apocalypse Now 4K disc, and like they released it right away for like really cheap. It was like $15, and then I didn't buy it, and like 2 weeks later, it was like $50 each.
Oh shit!
Jesus, Eric.
For centuries, the Society of the Black Dragon has sanctioned an ancient rite of combat, known as the Kumite, open only to the world's most lethal warriors. It has never been won by a Westerner.
You are not Japanese. I can do it.
Now, for the first time, the true story of America's super agent, Frank Dukes, can be revealed.
Uncle Sam can't afford to let you get hurt.
I'm going to Hong Kong.
Frank is going to fight in the Kumite, and we're here to stop him.
An awesome human weapon.
It hurts me just looking at it.
In Bloodsport, Van Damme plays Frank Dukes, a United States Army captain and ninjutsu practitioner who competes in an underground martial arts tournament in Hong Kong called the Kumite. And the story is supposedly based on the real-life experience of Frank Dukes. Aside from the inspiration for the character in the film, Frank Dukes also served as the action choreographer and the technical advisor on the film. The screenplay was based on Frank Dukes' claims, which were first published in the 1980 issue of Black Belt magazine. And after the release of Bloodsport, many of these claims have been disputed, including by the co-screenwriter of the film, Sheldon Lettich, who believes Frank Dukes fabricated his fight record and the existence of the Kumite. So, seems like Bloodsport, while being a great work of fiction, is just that. It's a work of fiction.
How much of the movie follows your actual story, and how much goes off on a path?
It's very important to note when you make a movie, obviously, that you have to please visually. Mm-hmm. And in the sense of the visual, they have certain idiosyncrasies that are not in line. But the spirit of the movie, the spirit of the event, the spirit of the fighters is 100% the truth.
It's like a James Bond movie, you realize.
Well, the ninjas were the James Bonds of Japan.
It seems like he lied. I guess that's kind of disputable.
Maybe he didn't lie. Maybe he just exaggerated.
Don't you think it sounds like a lie? Like, oh, I went to Hong Kong to fight in an underground fighting tournament. And if you watch the movie Bloodsport, at the end, it's not just that like he made a vague lie, like, hey, I went over there and I won the tournament. He lied about like specific records. He would lie, like, it's like fastest knock. You see at the end the specific things. Yeah. It's like Frank Duke's biggest dick in the world. You know. Hottest girlfriend, but she's in another country. She goes to a different school. You never met her.
My girlfriend's Canadian.
Yeah. And this wasn't the last time that Jean-Claude and Frank Dukes collaborated on films. They did eventually have a falling out when they made the movie The Quest. That was the one that Jean-Claude directed.
This is what I was about to ask. I was like, didn't they try to do this again with the thing called The Quest?
They did it 3 or 4 times. You ever see Kickboxer, Legionnaire?
No.
Pretty much the story of Bloodsport, they just kept repeating in other Jean-Claude Van Damme vehicles.
Oh, they try to recreate the same success.
Yeah, and I think it worked for a while. I think Kickboxer was pretty big. Bloodsport is also the inspiration for the video game Mortal Kombat, which was originally being developed as a Bloodsport video game. And you can still kind of see remnants of the character design as Jean-Claude Van Damme and Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
Also, obviously inspired by Game of Death.
Yes.
But I think Bloodsport is kind of standing on the shoulders of Game of Death, too.
Yeah, what's old is new, right?
On casting the lead role of Frank Dukes, producer Mark DeSalle said he wanted a martial arts star who was a ladies' man. This is a quote. Jean-Claude appeals to both men and women. He's an American hero who fights for justice in the American way and kicks the stuffing out of the bad guys.
Isn't he Francais?
He's Belgium.
Oh,
Belgian.
Oh.
The muscles from Brussels.
Oh, that's a good one, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It sounds like a French name.
Yeah.
So I guess they were trying to like appeal to women with this movie, which explains the
My
iconic
sister.
shot of the maroon underpants.
You think Jean was bisexual?
How dare you? I think Jean-Claude Van Damme was slaying puss.
I have no doubt with that.
He was doing cocaine and slaying puss in the 80s. What were you doing, Eric? Going to fucking kindergarten?
You weren't born yet. When
Yeah. I just think it's hilarious that the producer is like, oh yeah, we need an all-American hero, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Was there anybody else that they...
They almost cast the guy from American Ninja to be the lead in this movie, but he was too tall.
Really?
That's what I heard. Bloodsport is one of those classic films that not only is great despite its faults, it's great in light of its faults. Meaning like the cheesiness and the awkward acting actually makes the film better, more fun and rewatchable. It's goofy, but it's also like competently made and fun to watch. So I'm rating Bloodsport at 3 stars. I think that this is a must-watch film for anyone and everyone. Show it in schools, play it for pregnant women, teach the next generation how to live with honor like the fictional Frank Dukes, and not like the real-life Frank Dukes who was in fact a pathological liar, allegedly. I once heard someone say a great feature film takes you into a world you haven't seen. If this is the case, then you have to include Bloodsport on that list of great films. Because this movie takes you into the world of mixed martial arts competitions years before the UFC was even created and decades before MMA would become a pretty mainstream sport. The downside to Bloodsport being this novel is you watch it now and the fight scenes don't really hold up. It's just a modern audience knows what a mixed martial arts competition actually looks like now. I'm giving this film 3 stars. I say go watch Bloodsport. It's free on Tubi. There is no Blu-ray or 4K disc yet. There is one available in Japan, but not in the States. What do you think, Eric?
I always tell people to watch this movie. If you want to be like me, like a connoisseur or a student of action films, that's literally what I call myself, a student of action films.
Mm-hmm.
This is without guns, without explosions. That's a little bit later on. Fuck yeah, you need to watch this movie.
It's pretty solid. It's not as good as like the Hong Kong action films that are being made around the same time, but it's pretty solid.
A lot of the stuff in Bloodsport, I will say, they do copy from a lot of the Hong Kong movies. So if he was really the fight choreographer, he must have watched a lot of Hong Kong movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He must have watched a lot of Hong Kong. 'Cause
Yeah.
They just kind of do some of the same moves over and over, but they just tweak it a little bit.
There's probably a bunch of Hong Kong performers in it.
Yes, actually, there's 2 of them
Okay.
that were really big.
Well, Bolo
I
Yang.
didn't know until because they're so young. Everyone in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like the American actors that I see. I was like, oh shit, that's Ghost Dog. You know, for anyone that doesn't know, that's Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
You should go watch Ghost Dog. I saw him. I saw a couple Hong Kong actors that are big now in Hong Kong that were in that film. I'm like, damn, I love watching this. I love watching older movies now because now we can see who the stars are. That's fun to me. To me, that's fun. So why 5 stars, not 10 stars, or?
First of all, 5 stars or 10 stars, it's the same thing. If you want to give it a rating out of 10, that's fine.
Oh no, I was just wondering.
Give it a rating and then tell us, do you recommend it or not?
Okay, for sure, if you are someone that wants to be a student of the game, you have to watch it.
Yeah.
If you want just to have mindless, honestly, if you just want to have mindless thing going on while you're cleaning or whatever, you should watch it. And just in general, I think it's just a good like to kill time kind of thing to watch. So for sure,
Yeah.
I definitely give it like a 3.5 for sure.
The plot of Bloodsport, of course, centers around U.S. Army Captain Frank Dukes, the character played by Jean-Claude Van Damme. Dukes trained in the art of ninjutsu under his sensei, Senzo Tanaka, who's played by Roy Choi.
You know Tanaka.
Is that how you say that? Roy Choi?
Yeah.
I think people know him mostly from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yeah, not the taco chef. Not the modern day.
Oh, the guy who has like food trucks?
Yeah, Roy Choi. That's his name too. Roy Choi created the Korean taco.
So it's a fusion.
Yeah, a fusion with Mexican food.
Mexican Korean food. And that's what you got to do to become a millionaire.
Yeah.
Put some fucking General Tso's in a taco shell. I could have done that.
Yeah. General Tso. That's Chinese, not Korean.
Yeah, I know. There's a flashback of young Frank Dukes, and his friends bully him into entering Tanaka's house to steal a sword before he's caught by Tanaka and his son Shingo. And I don't know, I guess what stood out about this is like the kid portraying Frank Dukes is almost like imitating the Belgian accent.
Yeah, that was the only thing.
I'm not sure if he's a bad actor, if he's actually like just imitating Jean-Claude's bad acting.
Or if he's actually Belgian.
I don't think he's actually Belgian.
I wasn't going to steal it.
The young Frank Dukes trains with Tanaka and Shingo, who at one point refers to him as Round Eye, which I thought was kind of interesting because he could have made fun of him for being Belgian, but he chooses to go the racist route and criticizes lack of...
when they're sparring.
Yeah.
And then he dies. And then
Yeah, they don't really explain the death of Shingo, though, right? It's just like, yeah, he died.
They have this really corny scene, like, I guess in every school this happens to you in your life where you get beat up by a bunch of people.
That's another thing. It's like Shingo he's constantly besting Frank Dukes in martial arts training, but then he needs Frank to like defend him against the bullies. Like if he's such a great martial artist, like can't he just beat up the fucking bullies too? I guess because they're a lot taller than him.
Well, there's 3 of them, right? Or 4 of them?
Yeah. But still, I mean, Frank takes care of him, right?
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you would think at least if he had his dad was so confident in himself and in his son, he could at least would have took down one guy. After
Tanaka's son Shingo passes away, he agrees to train Frank for the Kumite, and the film features a pretty great training montage where Tanaka seemingly tortures Frank before Frank abandons his military service and flies to Hong Kong, where he immediately meets another American fighting in the Kumite, Ray Jackson, played by Donald Gibb. Who I think people are going to recognize this guy from Revenge of the Nerds, where he plays pretty much the same character, just like he's a frat boy, not a martial arts competitor.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was in much other movie. I think he was really just known for this and Revenge of the Nerds.
I mean, I love his character, though. I feel like everyone knows someone like that.
Jackson.
Yeah, everyone has a friend like that.
Yeah.
Well, you should.
I personally do like the relationship between Frank Dukes and Ray Jackson. To me, it's perfectly believable male friendship. I could see like some people might criticize the character development. If they do, they don't really understand male friendships and bonding. You know what I mean? It's like totally logical to me that like you meet a guy, he's on a bus sexually harassing an Asian woman, you play video games.
But he wasn't egregious.
What do you mean?
Like Jackson wasn't egregious to a point where you'd be like, bro, she said no.
Well, he wasn't raping her, but he was being a nuisance.
Yes, but it wasn't like where you would look at it and be like, this guy, what the fuck are you doing? Like he keeps going. You know how some guys just keep going at it and you just like, come on, man. Really? She just said no already.
Yeah.
After she said no, he only makes one comment and that was it.
Yeah.
So I can see what you're saying, like friends, because like that means it's tolerable for me. I can be tolerant to that.
That's not overboard on sexual harassment for you. That's a tolerable amount of harassing a woman on a bus.
We're dudes. It's going to happen.
I wouldn't stand for it, Eric.
As long as he's not doing it to every single fucking woman.
Yeah.
Like, who am I to judge him? I'm probably some idiot at some point in time too, right? I've probably done that too.
Seems like a bad strategy to pick up women, but
that's how I wanted to talk. Like I said, we all have a friend like that, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never... I'll tell you, one time I was trying to do a good deed, and there was like a homeless dude walking around with a cart in a wheelchair trying to like push the cart. So I tried to help him. And we were like going down the sidewalk, and he just kept stopping and like sexually harassing every woman that we passed.
Oh, you should have walked away from that.
I did walk away from it. But it was just instantly like my good deed did not repay me in karma. It worked out completely the opposite way.
Yeah. He wasn't like I said, it wasn't like a grotesque thing.
Yeah.
He was just, you can tell he was a bumbling idiot.
It's definitely a cultural artifact from a different time.
Yeah.
I don't think it plays as good now. You know?
No, not at all whatsoever.
If you did this in a movie now, you'd be setting up a bad guy. You would not set up a good guy by having him sexually harass women on a bus. Aside from the main relationship character of Ray Jackson, Frank Dukes also has a love interest in the American journalist Janice Kent, who's played by the lovely Leah Aries.
Was she a one kind of hit wonder?
She did not do a lot of films. I think she ended up doing something else, but she was not like a big movie star. She's fine. Her performance doesn't like take me out of it. The performances in this movie are not, its strong point. Dukes saves the Leah Aries character from being sexually assaulted by the Middle Eastern fighter.
Which looked Chinese to me.
Sadiq Hussein. I think it's a Mexican dude.
Oh, is it a Mexican dude?
I think so.
Even better. Even better.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty Islamophobic scene.
Yeah.
Some of the race stuff in this movie definitely feels like it's from the 80s. Like first you see the African fighter climbing up trees and punching coconuts, and then
that's right.
The fucking Middle Eastern guy is trying to rape women.
Do you think it would have been better if instead of him, which makes sense now, the training montage, it's all as far as a story standpoint, it makes sense, where you see him training, doing the stuff like grabbing the goldfish and shit, and then he remembers how to use that same experience and he does it with the coin.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool trade-off, for a story.
And they do that a couple times.
And then which movies actually don't do that now. I've noticed. Only
I always thought this was a cliche of kung fu films, where the training in the end comes back and that helps him solve the thing.
Yeah, I think for that era is perfect. For now, I think you have to do it a very subtle way.
Well, yeah, the storytelling in Bloodsport definitely lacks subtlety.
Because the only reason why, he's they have a flashback to him catching the fish. I'm like, man, get the fuck out of here with that. He should have just done it,
Yeah.
There's no need for that flashback. But what I'm asking is, do you think that it would have been better if a more man thing to do, I guess you'd say, would have a drinking contest?
No, because you're going to challenge a Middle Eastern guy to a drinking contest. He doesn't drink.
Oh, then he loses, right?
Well, he's not gonna agree to that. He agrees to the stupid.
Or you can do what the fucking Cantonese do. You're in Hong Kong. Have a dumpling eating contest.
Yeah.
That's what guys do.
If you can eat more dumplings than me, you can rape her.
Hey, it's better than a quarter.
Yeah. It's a great female character. First she sleeps with the fighter, then she's with some other dude. Also, it's hilarious that at the tournament, she's just talking into a voice recorder. She's really not.
No one's looking at her. The guy next to her is now what the fuck you doing?
This secret fighting competition where no journalists are allowed. She's just openly talking into a huge fucking tape recorder.
Yeah. Not a really well-written character.
It's a terrible female character. It's like if April O'Neil had to sleep with the turtles to get the story.
Oh my gosh, that's so...
This movie it's the stupidest vanity thing ever. Everything about Frank Dukes is so unbelievable. Mm-hmm. He's so great at everything. He fucks all the women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just...
And even when they're eating the food there, I was like, there's no way that guy would just give that food to the dog. How are you going to throw that food to the dog when you just said this is delicious?
Well, also they're in Hong Kong, so the food probably is dog.
I mean... More like northern China, but yeah.
Okay. We're getting way off topic here with eating dogs, Eric. There is no dog eating in Bloodsport.
Well,
actually, it's questionable.
It's questionable.
There probably were a couple dogs eaten during the production of Bloodsport.
And Ghost Dog for sure. That's why he became Ghost Dog, because he got upset at him.
He's a Ghost Dog because they ate it.
Yeah, he's like, God damn it, why did I do that?
Yeah. I think the goofiest scene in Bloodsport is when Agents Helmer and Rollins confront Dukes for the second time, and he beats up all those military guys.
What the fuck were those things that they were carrying?
Tasers?
Yeah,
when he deflects the taser with the
tasers?
trash can. I don't know if those are fake, but deflecting them with the trash can lid is
amazing.
Some goofy ass shit.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And that's some cartoon shit there. That's some anime shit.
Even the people at Canon watched this and thought, this is crap.
Yeah, there's no way to...
And that's the company that made, Masters of the Universe. And the big finale of the film, Frank faces off against Chong Li, who throws salt in his eyes, blinding him, and Frank is able to defeat him blind by falling back on the extensive blindfold training that he had done previously. It's a great scene. And like I said, it's very broad. Even just Jean-Claude Van Damme's performance in the ending is so ridiculous and over the top, but it's a lot of fun to watch. Yeah. That POV shot when they're going to the Kumite for the first time.
Oh yeah,
and they're walking through that dark alley, the Steadicam shot. That's another thing. This movie, it's totally competently shot. They keep moving the camera. It's not like a amateurish looking film. The slow motion in the fighting sequences looks great. I think the fight choreography and stuff, it's not nearly to the level of like Hong Kong movies. It's not really groundbreaking fight stuff, but it's very well shot. Overall, I think it's pretty enjoyable.
Did they try to make a Bloodsport 2 or something?
They made 3 more. It ended up being a whole series. I don't think they came out till later. I think maybe Bloodsport 2 might not have been until like 95 or 96, and none of them have Jean-Claude Van Damme in them.
Yeah. There's some of the sayings, I wish we could bring back some of those like just ridiculous sayings. Like one of them was like, "But bricks don't hit back."
I heard also that all of Bolo Yang's lines are lines from Bruce Lee movies.
Get the fuck out
Which
of here.
He doesn't say much in the movie, but every time
It's
they
a
have
lot
talk,
of smiles.
they have him pull lines from Bruce Lee movies. I don't know if it's like a homage or just blatantly stealing.
Yeah,
What'd you think about his nipples, Eric? Bolo Yang's nipples. Are those authentic Asian nipples or is that Hollywood special effects?
A combination of 3.
The combination of the 2.
I think it was steroids for 1. 2, his nipples probably
Do you
already
really
know.
think he's on steroids?
Fuck yeah, for sure he was on steroids. Everyone.
Yeah. Everyone in the 70s.
Everyone on that set was on steroids in some form. How are all those muscular ass men in one area and none of them are on steroids?
I mean, in the scene where Jean-Claude pulls up his little maroon underpants, you could literally see the needle holes in his butt.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a combination of 3 for sure. The for sure his own steroids use.
Mm-hmm.
He already had good looking nipples, so that's how it happened. And the studio probably did something.
A little bit of Vaseline on the camera lens of life.
Yeah.
A little bit of
oil.
Yeah.
Coconut oil.
Looks pretty good for a $2 million movie. And I mean, the way they shoot the martial arts is great.
Mm-hmm.
The slow motion and the shots are actually like pretty entertaining. It's art. It's very artfully and like tastefully done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you can really watch this movie and not like appreciate it for the thoughtfulness of like the cinematography and the art. It's not just like junk. It is broad in storytelling and direction and acting. But as far as like a movie, it's pretty solid.
How would you make this movie better? If someone gave you $2 million, say, hey, we got to go shoot Bloodsport. How would you make Bloodsport better?
Fucking $2 million nowadays, you're gonna end up making it worse. You mean like the modern equivalent of $2 million?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you should remake this movie if you're just gonna do the same exact thing with it. If you have like a new angle on it, it's about like MMA or UFC or something. But to like remake this thing where it's the same thing, where it's this underground fight competition, it would be very stupid. I would not. I don't think they should remake this unless they have a new angle to go with it in. And they tried to remake this in like 2011, and it never.
What movie was that?
They were gonna remake
Bloodsport.
Yeah, but they never got produced.
I'm sure they're better stories than this for this.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple, dumb story. I don't think it really needs to be remade. But Hollywood isn't one to leave money on the table. If they can make some money off of remaking something, they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
I just don't think this is necessarily the property.
Hopefully they don't make Back to the Future over.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But
yeah, man. I think that covers it.
All right.
Unless you got something else to say about Bloodsport.
Seriously, go watch this movie.
Okay, I love you. 我去想念你，請你莫逃避，維護你，原諒你，拋開貪嗔怕死，一切為咗你。